back to the bonus stage on GameSpot on day 2 of E3. I'm your host, John Davison. With me is Tom McShay, who we work together on the Quoted for Truth show, if you've ever watched it, every Friday. And with us is Vander Caballero, creator of Papo Yo. How you doing?
Great. Having a lot of fun.
You having a good show?
Yes.
Yeah? So we wanted to, so your game was at E3 last year, right? But just, it was very early.
Really early?
Was it really early? It was really early in development,
No, yeah,
right?
it was really early in development, yes.
So it's nearly finished now?
It's nearly finished. We're coming out before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And we're really excited. It is, I'm really happy that I work at EA for 8 years.
Yeah.
I work in every major franchise at EA, and I love working there and making these amazing games like Army of Two, or Boogie, or working on FIFA.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do a game that it was completely different, that no publisher were ever found. And actually, it happened. So I decided to quit EA and go out there and become indie and make a game about my childhood. I wanted to tell my story.
Yeah.
And that's Papo Yo.
So can you summarize the story a little bit?
My father was an alcoholic and gave me a really hard childhood.
Yeah.
So I survived it, and I survived it to play in video games. So as an older man, I want to take the good thing that I came out from that experience and put it back in games. A good example, it is like, when I was a kid, I was playing Mario.
Yeah.
And Mario saved me. Every time there was chaos at home, I played Mario and I told myself, play Mario. But what happened was that Mario made me a better player, but not a better person. So I say, what can I do a game that actually can put people and change their life in a better way? For example, like in Mario, it's really easy. You're good and bad. That's all the two cents.
Yeah.
And then when you're a kid, life is not like that. Your parent can be good to you, but they can get angry with you. So suddenly I want to create a game on the gray zone. That suddenly you experience the good and the bad, and it's the same person. And you have to learn how to deal with that. And hopefully that helps you to better deal with life.
Yeah. So how do you do that in game form? Because a few people have talked about this, but it's difficult, right?
It's really difficult, but I have the experience, so I know how to do it.
Yeah.
So I prototype a lot. So what I did is that the monster is really friendly with you. And the monster has an AI system driven by desires. So if he wants to sleep, he goes to sleep. If he wants to eat, he goes to eat. Or if you have a ball, you throw it to him and he plays with you. And sometimes you can climb in his belly and jump and get to reach other areas. So you develop this relationship with the monster. And then what happened is we developed this relationship with the monster for a long time. And then he finds a frog and he goes crazy. And you go like, what happened? This thing was really nice with me. He turned evil. And then you have to calm him down. So the way that you calm him down, we have a mechanic that is a rotten fruit mechanic. So you find the rotten fruit, you give it to the angry monster, he eat it, and he vomit the frog, and he's normal again. So going back and forward with that mechanic, it is the game. So suddenly, the thing that I'm most proud of is when we make it a 7-year-old play the game.
Yeah.
So the game have a lot of platforming elements. So the kid was playing this level when the monster was night, and he's doing the platforming elements, and he was really good doing it. When the monster became angry, his execution went down like 70%. He couldn't do the same jump that he did before when the monster was normal, and he was stressed out. And then he found the fruit, and when he gave the fruit to the monster, the kid went like, and I was like, yes, I did it. So I'm proud of him.
So Tom, you were really keen to talk. I mean, this sounds like the kind of thing that you'd be really into.
Yeah, it is. It's like the thing that jumps out at me is like this is kind of emotionally challenging. I mean, most games don't cover anything like this, and it sounds like it's intimidating for people. Like, how do you expect the general populace to react after playing this game?
So I have a really great experience. So many people start saying, you're using your story and the tragic story to sell the game. and say, I didn't do it, you guys did it. And if, for example, if we were at the Cannes Film Festival right now, and I tell you, oh, I'm doing a film about my colleague father, listen, people didn't care. But in the game industry, it becomes, you're doing an emotional game. You say, wow, how can you do that? And the hype that the game got is a proof that we need those games, and people want those games. So I'm really happy that people find that controversy and they talk about it. So I think the industry needs more of these games. So, for example, like I want to get old playing games. And suddenly, right now, I'm playing the same games that I played 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Just more polygon, just more polished. And I think it's not fair for the industry. It's not fair for us as gamers. We have to develop the content and bring it up a notch. And for example, I'm really happy that the Pop Fund believe in the game and help us to put this game out. And also the Canadian government. The Canadian government have a fund that helps innovative games, and they also help us. So suddenly, that makes Papo come to the market, and I'm thrilled about it.
Are there other games out there that you think do a good job of pushing the medium forward?
There are many games that do, but not in the emotional way. And I think that all those, it's great that people do that. It's great that people bring new technology to bring these new mechanics, these new experiences. Like Portal is a great example of you dealing with the reality and how you can change reality, and experience a bit of string theory and all that is great, but at the same time, that's not the world we live in. The world we live in is wake up in the morning, we have a girlfriend, a wife, or a boyfriend, and then we have to deal with the complexity of going to work. You have a father, you have a mother. Life is difficult. And then, for example, I really like the movies because what they actually do, they teach you how to live.
Yeah.
It's the school of life, and you love to go to see them. And games is the escape scene, is the escaping of life. And I think that we have to change that a bit. Not everyone has to do it.
Do you think people have shied away from trying to manipulate emotion because it's not a finite that you can't control it with the technology? Like you can make something pretty, you can make something loud, you can make something quiet, but you can't necessarily. You have to trust the user to be reacting the way you want them to, right?
I think it's more that it's really hard to master game design and system design to make people feel emotion.
Right.
It's really, really hard. Like, I'm 38 years old, and I think that just right now I'm able to know how to master the design, the technology, the distribution channel, the financing, in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
So it requires a lot of experience, and I think the reason that you're not seeing that many, because it requires a lot of experience to do an emotional game.
Yeah.
And for example, we have Peter Molyneux coming to play the game and say, "Oh, I love the idea, I love what you guys are doing." And I was like, "Wow, I was really satisfied about it." And it requires so much experience to create these emotional games, and what happened is that corporations are making it really hard for these really talented creators to get out and do crazy stuff like this.
Yeah.
Because you're really pampered. Like, they pay you really well, they make you travel, they give you a lot of resources to play and to create games, and it's like, why would I leave?
Right.
And the reason that I wanted to leave is because it was burning me inside that I needed to do this.
It seems like a big part of the reason why we don't see games that push emotionally is because we're tied to this idea that games are meant to be fun and only fun, basically. So it's like when a developer tries to be something that isn't fun, it's always like, oh, what do I want to play this? I want games to be an escape. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, should games be an escape where you go home and you just have fun for a few hours, or do you think they should just be as challenging as a movie?
I give you an example, like comedies in films.
Yeah.
Comedies is fun, but you see the really successful comedies, they really have some really heavy underneath relationships that you deal with it. So that's a good analogy to the game industry. We're making comedies, but the successful comedies actually have a deep layer of social relationships and how you grow. And in today's comedy, the thing that I love is you always get a moral at the end. They make you feel better.
Right.
They present you with an emotional challenge, and they put you all these really ridiculous situation, but at the end, you learn something. So I hope games become like that.
So do you think your game still is, I mean, is it still fun, like on a top level, if you're not hit emotionally?
Okay, so
Or do you need the weight of it to really pull you through?
Pixar is a great example of doing really hard stories in a way and make them fun. For example, Finding Nemo, in 5 minutes from Finding Nemo, you lose your brothers, you lose your mother, and 5 minutes after you're lost. This is really heavy, and then you still love Pixar movies. So what I want to do games that are fun, and then you get to love the characters, you get to love the experience of being really engaged with the world, and at the same time make you feel these emotions. And when you play Papo, I think that what people have clicked on the game, that they play the game is like, this is a great game, it's a really fun game, and also have a story behind.
So in terms of the people that haven't seen it, I mean, you talked about the relationship with the monster, but what are the mechanics of the game itself? What are the players doing as they progress through it?
So there's a lot of platforming elements.
Yeah.
So the platforming elements is that it's really inspired by Ico. I really love Ico.
Yeah.
That you go there, you get this great environment that you got to explore, and then you interact with the environment to solve the puzzle. In the case of Ico was making this escape the princess. In the case of Papo, it is healing the monster. You have to bring the monster to the shaman to heal him.
Right.
So you have to bring the monster with you, and then you have to transform the environment with it. And one of the things that I wanted to do is I want to bring people to a place they have never been. So I brought them to South America, in the favelas. But the nice favelas, not the Call of Duty favelas. The one that they're really colorful and they're really playful. And for example, we have a mechanic that the path is blocked by houses. You pick a cardboard box that is connected to a house, and whoa, you're transforming the environment right away.
Right.
And in the E3 demo, we have this mechanic that you're collecting houses, and they pile one on top of the other one, and they create this huge snake that you have to control to create a bridge to get to the other side. So that's one of the mechanics of puzzle. Then you have Lula in your back, and then you have the double jump.
Yeah.
And it's a small double jump because it's a really small toy. And then you put it in your back and you go, and you have to try it.
Yeah. So how do you? I mean, you said at the beginning that the monster is very good to the player. I mean, you got to rely on that feeling of. I mean, you mentioned eco, where you're leading the girl and you feel like you're protecting the girl.
Yeah.
And it's quite an obvious relationship that you have. It sounds like the relationship that you have with the monster is, I mean, you've got to be really careful to not make the player go, well, screw this guy. He's going to throw things at me or like hit me. Why do I want to help him?
Because he's nice to you. You need him sometimes.
Right.
And
so there's a dependence between the
characters. Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
You need to bring him. You need to save him. You need to bring him to the shaman.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're gonna say, fuck it. And exactly what happened with Aiko. There was a moment in the game, they say, why am I saving this girl? I like the game, but why? She doesn't even give me a kiss. So we try to compensate that by introducing an Alejandro character and other mechanics, but it's really hard. And in order to solve that problem of empathy throughout the game, after playing 3 hours of that, the only thing that requires more development and more time, but we're doing Papo Yo is an indie game with a AAA flavor, and we're using only 5% of the budget of a AAA.
Yeah?
Yeah, so it's really a big challenge, and I wish we had more money, but at the same time having more money will defeat the purpose of the indie.
Yeah. So it's a really small team?
We're 14.
14?
14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, but really experienced. So all my
and you said you worked on Army of Two, right?
Yeah.
Which was like 250 or something crazy.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, so so what happened is when people see the game, say, how can you guys were able to develop a game like that with such a small team?
Yeah.
And what happened is there's this myth right now that what created that in order to make a AAA game, you need 300 people team. But in reality, when you go to analyze the production, there's always a small team on the top that actually do the work, and then you just pile a lot of army behind.
Yeah.
To make the game, and then you're at the mercy of the market change and the marketing decisions. But with a game like this, it is great because marketing, they don't care. They already think it's a fluke.
Right.
So then you don't have no changes coming from the outside. You just have your top layer team working on the game. And we don't have meetings. We hate meetings. We're working all the time, and then meetings like, for example, like we have a hint system that is putting the box on your head.
Yeah.
It's really cute, people love it, and that feature would have never happened in a big company because you will have to write it down, put it on a list, and then go through this will not fit in the game.
Right.
But when we're doing our game, we were doing our 3 demo, and we realized that we actually need to help players to go with it because I don't want to create a game that people felt stupid or that they got stuck.
Right.
So I want to create a hint system. And then we start thinking, okay, how should we solve this? And then a few days before, we have a bug that you pick up one of the boxes, but it got stuck on the guy. And it felt like he had the box on his head. And then in a 5-minute conversation, one guy said, why don't we put the hint in the boxes like the bug we had before? Okay, great, let's do it. Like one day after, the future was in the game.
Right.
And this is happy accident that happen when you have small teams. And I think that I love the opportunity we have in the industry right now having a small team. Digital distribution permits you to have these small teams that actually can do crazy amount of innovation with a really small budget.
Yeah. Well, we got to wrap it up now. But so when is the game due out? It's on PSN, right?
Yes, later this year.
Just later this year. There's no date yet.
Yeah, I don't know yet. Later this year.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for
Thank you very
coming
much.
on the show. This is the bonus stage on GameSpot. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Yesterday I said we were going to be talking to some E3 newbies. I was actually talking about today. That's happening in 5 minutes. We have our contest winner, and we have some guys from GameSpot that have never been before. Going to talk about what they've seen at the show and they're really enjoying. So we'll be right back in 5. Thank you very much.